On this week's episode, I have the one, the only Darren Shaw joining me on Search with Candour, and we're getting an update on those oh-so-juicy local search ranking factors. There hasn't been a local search ranking factor update in 2024, so Darren is going to do it on Search with Candour. I am very excited. If you have any interest in local SEO and local search, or if you want to learn more, this is the podcast for you. It is out now on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, wherever you watch your podcasts, we are available. Just search for Search with Candour, and also put a link in the comments down below as well. Please do come along, watch, listen, and learn from the fantastic Darren Shaw. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Search with Candour. I am your host, Jack Chambers Ward, and I am very excited for this episode because I am joined by the founder of Whitespark, Darren Shaw. Darren is somebody I have followed for a very, very long time. I have literally learnt local SEO and applied that stuff to clients for many years from the things I have learnt from Darren, and he is one of my favourite creators for content and sharing knowledge and all that kind of stuff in all of SEO. He's doing fantastic work on YouTube and TikTok and even blog posts and appearing on other podcasts. It was a real pleasure and honor of mine to have Darren on the show. Turns out, which is a very cool moment, Darren also listens to Search with Candour. So it was a very nice moment to actually finally sit down with somebody I have followed for a very long time. And if you know Darren, if you've heard of his work before, which I'm sure plenty of you have, you might know he is one of the organisers and contributors of the local search ranking factors that basically release every single year. Except we haven't had a release this year. So Darren is coming on this show to talk all about the latest updates to local search ranking factors. It's a legit bit of an exclusive, exciting little update, which I'm very honoured to have from Darren. It's a brilliant conversation. If you're interested in local SEO or want to learn a lot more about how things have changed over the last year or a couple of years or so about local search, this is the right podcast for you. So please stay tuned for my conversation with Darren after a word from our sponsors. A huge thank you to SEO Ranking for sponsoring this week's episode of Search with Candour. SEO Ranking is the company behind the powerful and intuitive SEO platform trusted by millions of agencies, businesses, and SEO professionals since 2013. With a robust toolkit, SEO Ranking empowers SEO professionals around the world to excel at executing their strategies. Key features include the Rank Tracker, which provides accurate and up-to-date keyword rankings, as well as the competitive and keyword research tools that offer deep insights into market trends and competitor strategies. The platform's AI-powered SEO insights leverage advanced machine learning to deliver actionable recommendations, streamlining the process and letting you outrank your competition. The Backlink Checker and monitoring tool enables you to analyze backlink profiles and monitor their status, ensuring you've got a very healthy link building strategy. SEO Ranking have launched their AI Overviews tracking feature. It's a brand new tool that allows you to track AI search engine snippets that will help you see how you stack up against your competitors in Google's AI enhanced search features. The tool supports you in identifying your rivals in the snippets, analyzing their content, and detecting new opportunities for strategic decisions. Click the link in the video description down below or in the show notes if you're listening to this episode. And a huge thank you to SEO Ranking for sponsoring us here at Search with Candour.
If you're not already using or you don't know what Also Asked is, let me give you 3 reasons you should be using it. Number 1, Also Asked gives you the intent blueprint directly from Google to help you make the best possible content. You get live pre-clustered searcher questions that are bang up to date, the majority of which aren't available from big keyword research tools. This is for any country or any language that Google supports, and you can quickly download it and export it in graphical or text format. Number 2, Also Asked's timeline feature shows you when a topic's intent has changed. This lets you know when you need to refresh and update your content, and crucially, what has changed, what people are asking right now. Number 3, Also Asked's API allows you to integrate with popular tools like Screaming Frog and ChatGPT to automate tasks like content gap discovery. Set it up with Screaming Frog and you can press a button to get a list of questions your content misses on every single URL. You can try Also Ask for free right now. Just go and put a search term in the box. Everybody gets 90 searches per month for free. You don't even need an account. If you do want to sign up, you can cancel at any time with the monthly account, or if you do want to commit to an annual account, you'll get an additional 20% off. If you're still unsure, check out some of the brilliant case studies and guides below this video.
My guest this week has been working in SEO for over 26 years. Yes, that's since the days of Alta Vista that Mark likes to remind me about all the time, and has been specializing in local SEO for over 16 years. He is the founder of Whitespark, which is a company all about building tools and providing services that solve local search problems for enterprises, agencies, and businesses. I'm doing the little pitch here for you, Darren, already.
Thanks, yeah.
He is one of the most in-demand speakers and podcast guests in all of SEO. He's the organizer, and we'll talk about this in a minute, of the local search ranking factors study, and one of the people I have learned local SEO from directly over the years, which I don't think you know, Darren. We'll get into that in a moment. And, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, makes the best SEO videos on YouTube and TikTok. It is my honor to welcome Darren Shaw to Search with Candour.
Thank you. You were right. I'm feeling pretty hyped now. Thanks.
Hey, there we go. That's the goal of that intro, is to hype you up.
Exactly. It was a very nice intro. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you are liking my content.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we have a nice little. I didn't know you liked my content, and then I was like, "Oh wow, the guy I've been following for so long is talking about my podcast. That's cool,
amazing."
So it's so nice to finally sit down with you and have a conversation about local search ranking factors. And we're going to dig into a lot of different bits and pieces. We've got some awesome notes we've prepped and kind of got some clear ideas. But I kind of want to start with, there's a lot of new cool things happening in local search. We're going to kind of kick off with the latest and greatest, right? We're going to talk about the new search ranking factors, because you haven't done a 2024 edition, right? So this is kind of a little hot and spicy breaking news.
Yeah. So it's a little outdated. The 2023 version came out, I think, in March of 2023. And then I didn't get my stuff together in time to get the 2024 out. And then it was like July, and I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing a mid-year local search ranking factors. And so my plan is to just hold off. I'm going to actually be preparing the survey in October, sending out to the participants, getting them to get all their data back to me, analyze it, and prepare the publication for publishing in early January. So that's my plan. I'm like, and then that way it's the 2025 local search ranking factors for the whole year rather than just for half a year, right? So nice. This is why 2024 is getting skipped. And this is maybe the second time or third time I've had made the same sort of gap, because I'm doing all kinds of things. I'm all over the place. So, but it's coming out. And one of the things is like, it evolves. And so if you put a longer gap, there's more awesome new stuff to put in it next year. And so I am kind of excited about some of the things that are coming up, and new factors, new concepts. Local search has changed quite a bit in the last, year and a half.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of chatter, and I know obviously we cover it on a little bit here on Search with Candour, and we cover it in our newsletter and stuff as well. I've definitely noticed a lot of local stuff bubbling around, and people like Barry reporting little bits and pieces, Barry Schwartz, and reporting like, oh, there's a weird thing. I know very, very recently, last week I think it was at time of recording, there was the photos and menu items appearing underneath a photo that is connecting to that and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm always seeing little bits and pieces tweaking and changing. And I know that kind of, I guess the volatility kind of scares some people off, I think, and they see like, it's always changing. But that's why I kind of appreciate what you guys do and what the team does when it comes round to those search ranking factors for local SEO, when you can actually get a clear picture of what matters, what doesn't matter. Yeah. And I love the way you guys are talking about what's changing, like what's more important now compared to last year and what's less important. And I think that's always really, really juicy stuff when you can then, adjust those strategies, tweak that stuff, and really focus on what's important for the following year. And like you said, we'll get one in January that will keep you going for all of
Yeah,
2025.
you get a whole year's worth of local search ranking factors.
Exactly. So let's kick things off with services, shall we? And I know this has
Sure.
been, you've had some controversy in services as well. I know you had some Twitter beef around service areas and things like that. But
Yeah, so services and service areas are very different things. I did have some beef about that,
yeah,
but services. So these are connected to your categories. So you've got your primary category, and then your additional categories you can add to your Google Business profile. And so Google auto generates this, like they find stuff on the internet and they'd be like, oh, you probably offer this service. And so they automatically add them to your Google Business profile. But you can also go in there and manage them yourself, and you can customize them and add your own custom services. And so this was an annoying thing of the last release of the local search ranking factors, because it was like a week after I had launched the local search ranking factors. Joy Hawkins published a case study where she proved that these services now impact rankings. Prior to this point, we thought it had no impact on rankings. So it didn't really get surfaced in, like, if you go to the local search ranking factors right now, you don't really see services as like being important. And so this is one of the situations where it's a little outdated, because they actually are quite valuable. It's a very useful thing for you to optimize on your Google Business profile. And there's a few key tips I would give about services. So one, make sure you always have as many additional categories that are relevant for your business, because that'll give you access to more services. Two, always add descriptions. A lot of businesses just put in the title and they don't have the description, but on mobile and on the new kind of way that they're displaying local results in search, services are quite prominent. And so it really helps you stand out when the service description is there, because you get to describe your service, and it's a great opportunity to pitch your service, like to tell them why you'd be good at it. And so since the vast majority of people are not filling out descriptions, so that's a tip. Make sure you fill out your descriptions. Another tip I have with services is to always try to match your services. If you're going to make a service on your Google Business profile, make a page on your website as well. That really helps Google connect the dots and get more information. You can use frequently asked questions. I love to use also asked to help generate those. So you can basically make a really good page on your website about that service. So that's a key thing that'll really help you improve your rankings for the services that you offer. But then another fun little tip is that services get pulled into what are called justifications. So let's say I did a search for drain cleaning Birmingham. And so now I got these search results. And so you'll see sometimes Google will have this little tag that says provides drain cleaning, right? Provides drain cleaning services. And so that little tag is a fun one, because you can actually use emojis in your title. And so you can put like a little pipe in there, any kinds of like little emojis. And so we have a strategy where we generally do like 2 emojis per service at the beginning. And so it really helps it stand out. So if you're looking at the search results, almost nobody's doing this, and then yours has those emojis, it just draws extra clicks, right? So that's services. Services do definitely impact rankings. They're very valuable to fill out, and a lot of people are not doing it. So it can be this sort of competitive difference maker. So that's services. It's a good one. You'll definitely see it increase in the next edition of the local search ranking factors. Guaranteed in my intro, I'll be like, no surprise, services are now more important than they were in the last edition, because we didn't even think it was a ranking factor.
I love what you said there about the emoji side of things. I find that so funny when we think about, I think people obviously focus too much on the keyword side of things, and especially with local, I think that is a problem I'm sure you've seen a million times before.
Oh yeah, in the business name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then having something as simple as an emoji just to like literally stand out on the page seems so obvious and so simple, and seems like maybe an old-fashioned tactic, but considering it's emojis, but something that wouldn't directly link to, oh, I'm ranking better for this keyword or whatever. But the fact that you stand out visually is such an interesting little point, right? I think that's a nice little nuance that a lot of people would definitely underestimate.
It's a fun little thing. It really helps. And then we know from the Google API leak that Google really is looking at clicks, They're looking at engagement signals. And so the API leak, we're really talking more about websites. But we know for sure that the same impact happens on your Google Business Profile. In fact, I did some research in 2014 for a presentation I gave at Dallas State of Search, where I built a bot with Puppeteer. So it's like a headless browser thing. So I built a bot that would run a search, click on a scroll till it found the result and click on this guy, and then it would do that search every 15 minutes, and it would take a screenshot every time it ran the search and clicked on the guy. And it's awesome because at the end of a 72-hour period, I combined all the screenshots into an animated GIF, and you could watch the guy go up the rankings. And so it was really amazing to see the impact of clicks. And so we know that Google's looking at that, right? It's like, wow, it looks like everybody likes this guy, so better rank him better. And so it's really interesting. We know that even like a decade ago, Google was using this. And so I think that their whole usage of behavioral signals, engagement signals, there's so many different ways that they can use that data to help them understand which profiles are better. So, speaking of those emojis, that really helps drive the extra click, right?
Yeah, definitely. I love connecting those dots. Like I said, I think a lot of people see the API leak that happened a few months ago on local search as very separate things, but you're totally right. You can draw so many conclusions and connect the dots so much, especially when you're doing awesome studies and actually proving it step by step as you go. I think that's a thing a lot of people underestimate. It's like how much of general kind of Google principles and SEO stuff also applies to the local side of things of like, oh, if it's not clicks to a website, then it doesn't count. It's like, yeah, but clicks to your business profile still count, and that still is a massive factor in then affecting your rankings that way. Yeah, I think that's a really
within
interesting
those search results, right? So someone's
exactly,
searching on Google Maps, someone's searching, and they click on a local pack, they click more results. There's actually many interfaces that local appears, and so and that's what we're talking about here. How do you rank in those interfaces? Yeah,
exactly. I don't know. You mentioned being able to customize your own services versus pre-existing services. Have you found any kind of confirmation whether it's better to do more custom ones or stick with the kind of existing ones that Google suggests for you? Is there any kind of inkling either direction?
Yeah. So I would say the research is pretty weak on this. The original study that Joy published was only about those predefined ones that Google is already adding to your profile. So Google is just kind of suggesting them, like, here are some services. Do you offer them? And you just click these little buttons in your Google Business Profile and be like, yes, drain cleaning, yes, hot water tank repair, boiler repair, like whatever. You just click them off in your Google Business Profile. But then you can add custom ones. And so I believe Ben Fisher has done some research, and like I don't even know if he's published it, but it's like, yeah, the custom ones that you add seem to also impact rankings. And I will, put a caveat that it's a minor-ish ranking factor. It's not like, oh, I added the service to my Google Business Profile and now I'm number one. It's like, we just know that it has a impact and it will positively impact your rankings. I did my own testing around it as well, and I did see a movement, but the movement wasn't massive. It was like I went from ranking position 18 to ranking position 12. It's like it had an impact, but it's not this like hugely weighted factor. It's just one of the optimization levers we can pull on your Google Business Profile.
Right. Yeah. And I know there was some controversy around the opening hours side of things. And I know you guys talked about how important it is to have your correct opening hours and stuff. And then a few people were kind of scamming it and being a bit dodgy and having opening hours of 24/7 to kind of then constantly be in the rankings and things like that, because your rankings literally change as you open and close. Your business opens and closes. So have you found some interesting things around people trying to kind of game the system a little bit?
Well, for sure. I think lawyers have been doing it forever. They're always 24 hours, right? Every lawyer.
Typical lawyers.
Yeah, but the reality is that you're within the guidelines if you answer your phone within that timing, right? So if that's when you have a phone service and you answer your phone, you can do it. You can do it 24 hours. Where you really see the movement happen is at the beginning and end of each sort of general workday. And so if most businesses are opening at 9 o'clock and closing at 5 o'clock, then this is a sort of prime window of ranking opportunity for most businesses. So Joy Hawkins, great researcher in local SEO, she was testing this, has discovered that this is definitely a ranking factor. And so the one of the best strategies is, if your business happens to be brick and mortar, or you're only going to be accepting phone calls during certain times, try to extend your window. So a couple hours before the standard opening and a couple hours after, because then you actually kind of hit that sweet spot of improved rankings during those times. And so opening at 7 and closing at 7 would really help you get some extra traffic in those windows when most of your competition is closed. And then you'll also see it have no effect sometimes. And this is in spaces where everyone's already 24 hours. Go ahead, make it 24
sure.
hours. You will see no impact. So this is a ranking factor that is really based on, what does your space look like? What do your search results look like? And so you have to kind of consider from that. And so a strategy would be to look through, like, what time is generally everybody opening and closing, and then squeezing out a little bit more. Or you could go 24 hours if your business is if it makes sense for your business. If you are a retail location and then you say you're 24 hours and people are showing up at your place at 1 a.m. and be like, they lied, it's closed, then you might get negative reviews. And so obviously you can't do it in those types of situations, but you could have staff show up a little early or show up a little later, if it makes sense. Like, you will see a ranking boost though, for sure. We've seen it. It's amazing to see if you set up hourly rank tracking in local rank tracking, you can just see massive fluctuation happening. And actually you see it happen the hour before you close too. You start to drop off. And that makes sense, actually, because Google even puts a little tag on your Google business profile, closing
soon. Yeah, I've noticed that before.
That's like, it's like that 1 hour before you're closing, you get that tag, and then you get demoted in the rankings. Google's like, well, you probably want to go to ones that are going to be open by the time you arrive, right? And you always see that too. It's like, this place may be closed by the time you arrive. And so Google is demoting those listings because they want people to be able to go to a place that's open. Now, it doesn't always apply, especially for, like, a service area business like a plumber, but Google has just painted the same brush across every profile. It's like they're not really trying to adjust the algorithm by specific categories. I think it gets too complicated for them. And so they're just like, yep, this is how we're doing it.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the closing soon, like the little tag, many times. I am definitely one of those, oh no, I've left it until the last minute kind of person. So I'm like, I need to go to the post office. Closing soon. Like, finish work at 5, it closes at 5:30. You're like,
I do always, in the back of my mind, like, I always have this idea that if the user behavior signals are so strong with Google, that there is this possibility that it's not even baked into the algorithm. It's just how users are interacting with the search results that are affecting the search results. And so, it's closing soon, nobody's clicking on it. Whereas they're clicking on other ones, and those ones that are open are getting the clicks and getting the engagement. So Google is shifting in real time. This is pure speculation, but it's like, and it might be a combination of the two. Like, and it may be just that Google saw that this is how people are interacting with the search results. And so they're like, oh yeah, people don't like ones that are closing soon. So let's tweak the algo a little bit so that it demotes those ones. But I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoy connecting the dots, even if it is speculation and hypothetical and all that kind of stuff. But
isn't that all SEO is? It's mostly speculation, a little bit of testing, but then you're still like, I think.
Exactly. And I know we're talking about, I briefly mentioned menu items just now as well, relevant to a lot of restaurants and stuff like that, and how we've seen them recently appear underneath the photos. And again, that's kind of a thing that's being tested at the moment. How are we feeling about menu items for restaurants at the moment?
So menu items are new, like super new, and big shout out to Claudia Tomina, who discovered this. So the case that she wrote about, she had this business that a restaurant, an Italian restaurant, and they had some kind of like insalata Cesaro or something like that on their menu, right? That's what it was called on the menu. This place is famous for their damn Caesar salad. Like, people love it. And so the reviews, there was 45 reviews that talked about the Caesar salad. The business could not be found if you search for Caesar salad. And they're like, what is happening? Why are we not ranking for this? And so we should be ranking for this. We're known for our Caesar salad. So Claudia noticed that on the menu, they called it the ensaladas.
Yeah.
And so she changed it to Caesar salad in their online menu, which you can edit within the Google Business Profile interface. Boom, like straight to number one. A lovely, incredible research. I love that kind of data, that kind of like evidence-based. We now know 1000% that the naming of your menu items will directly impact how you rank. They probably were killing it, ranking number one for Ensalada Cesaro. They were doing so good for that, but nobody searches for that. So the takeaway is that, yes, menu items, we now know because of recent research that they directly impact rankings. I got this sort of like gray hatty idea that you could, like, okay, let's say your business is like a retail store, right? Or your clothing store. And this is like, I would love to have someone test this with me, but add a category that has menus, like a cafe or something, coffee shop, as a secondary category. And then you could fill out the menu with like all kinds of like, shoes or like other things, just to see if you can like squeeze them in there and make your business rank. I have to test it. And
funny enough, that there is a supermarket nearby where we are here in
there
Norwich,
you go. See,
Canada, and they do both. There is a little coffee shop and a post office in the corner of the main store.
Yeah.
So
it is a real.
I might go and give them a knock and say hello. I have a test for you. And
I would love to
me.
test that. Yeah, but I think it would work, and so I think it would have that positive impact on your rankings for the keywords that you want to rank for, right? So, okay, make your list. These are the like 20 most valuable keywords I want to rank for. It'd be like, if only I could get a menu. And so then you add a category that would give you menus. Any of these sort of restaurant-y categories. Maybe. Yeah. Anyway,
I love that.
It's just theory.
Like,
just playing around, testing that kind of stuff. And at your own risk, you may end up getting your profile suspended. So this is why it's good to have tests.
Disclaimer.
Yeah. I would tread carefully if I'm saying all this stuff publicly. So I would tread carefully if you were thinking, great idea. I heard this on the Candor podcast. Freaking Darren got my profile suspended. So you have to be careful.
We'll try not to do that. We promise, listeners and viewers. We'll try not to get you suspended.
Yeah.
I actually had something came to mind. I was talking with Maria Scheibengraf about how language changes and search intent and the whole kind of thing, where even a direct translation doesn't work from one language to another if you're searching for the same thing. And the example there with the Italian restaurant, I know something my dad has always told me is, if you go to a restaurant and like the locals who are from that part of the world are going there, it's a good restaurant, right? You go to the Italian restaurant where all the other Italians are going, right? You go to the Thai restaurant where all the local Thai people go and all that kind of stuff.
100%.
I wonder if you left that Caesar salad in Italian, then would that attract people who are searching in Italian to then come and find it that way?
Oh yeah, is that a better business move?
And then you'd have to then, like you said, get the data of drawing people of like, okay, if some of the menu is Italian, does that attract more Italian people that then still live by if there's a lot of Italian people going there, then we should go to that Italian restaurant. But that's a very difficult thing to measure.
Yeah. You're thinking beyond SEO. You're thinking,
exactly.
How do we build our business and make sure that we're attracting the right people, so that when people come in, they're like, yes, this is the right place.
Exactly.
But that's it. I'm going off script here because we don't have this in our notes, but it's a really awesome topic that a lot of people do not know this local search trick. So your Google profile business name, the name itself is a huge ranking factor, right? So that's why people are stuffing keywords into that business name. Most people don't know that you can write multiple business names for each language. and you could like put 20 in there. And so in the Maps interface, so if you go to Google Maps and you look at your profile in Google Maps, then you can go, you can change your language. So I'm going to change my language to Polish. Then I'm gonna go suggest an edit, and then there's another field under the business name that says name in Polish. And so you can actually tweak your business name for multiple languages. And now when someone's searching in Polish, they see the name in Polish, which is an amazing place, especially if you have, specific keywords in your business name to be able to hit all those different ways. And especially, let's say you live in Switzerland, right? You got all these multiple languages. People are searching in German, people are searching in French. And so being able to add those different languages to your profile is a really powerful thing that almost nobody knows that little tip, that you can do that you can add your business name in multiple languages. So I love that tip. So you just change your language, go suggest an edit, add it, and you change your language again, suggest an edit. Oh, great. Now I'm writing it in Italian. Change your language. Now you're writing in French. And you can actually add multiple. So that's a really cool thing that most people don't know about.
That's brilliant. Weirdly enough, I kind of encountered that many years ago. So I was working for an international language school, and that was when I first started doing SEO by accident. I kind of rebuilt their website and was like, oh, yeah, sure. And then accidentally stumbled on SEO. And we had a lot of the students come in, and they were coming to the UK to learn English to then go on to get jobs and go to university and all that kind of stuff. So they would be searching in their native languages. Right. But still be here in Norwich or here in the UK. I was like, that's a really interesting thing. And that's kind of that connection I made to the searching in Italian thing. And then exactly as you're saying there's the extra little bits you can do to cater to tourists or new parts of the community or new demographics and new target audiences. You know that your restaurant or your business is particularly relevant for a certain group of people in your city or your town. That's a brilliant way of appealing to those people, right? Yeah, that's really, really clever.
I wish you could do it on more fields. That's the only field. Like if you could do it on services, that would be awesome, right? But you just everything else, you just kind of have to pick your default language.
Fair. And I know there is a lot of chatter. Again, I know I feel like I'm saying just everything is controversial, but I promise not everything is controversial. I think that your exact wording in the notes was everyone sucks at Google Posts, which I kind of love. There's no controversy. That's just a fact.
I'm speaking to everybody in the audience. You suck at Google Posts.
So what should we be doing to get Google Posts right? Because I think a lot of people think of it as similar to like social media stuff or just like posting your latest company updates or whatever. What's the right way of doing it, Darren?
So social media, company updates. Welcome to our new team member.
100%. Yeah.
So the real key differentiator that people that aren't usually clicking with is your Google business profile is not social media. And so it's like, oh, posts, social media. It's like what we've been doing on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter or whatever. We're going to do that now on our Google business profile. That's no, don't do that. And so the big difference is your audience. So if you go to social media, these are people that already know your company, have deliberately chosen to follow you. So these are people that are following you on Instagram. Who are the people looking at your Google business profile? These are people that are, they don't know anything about you. They're prospects, they're potential customers. So every damn Google post should be selling. And I know it feels like, really? And the answer is yes. Yes, really. Because it's this opportunity to present your services, to show them, like you're either going to directly sell, like we have this service, this is why you should sign, almost like a Google ad, right? It's like you're making an ad on your Google business profile, or you're doing a convincing post. Convincing is like, we've gotten our clients these results. Mm-hmm. We have, here's a case study. Here's an example of the kind of work that we do. You can use videos in Google Posts. You can have great photos. You should have text on your photos. And so every Google post that you create should be compelling whoever's reading it to become a customer. They do not care that you just wish them happy Thanksgiving on your Google business profile. They're like, thanks a lot. So you should really try to sell in your Google post. That's my spiel. And I would say not everybody sucks. Lots of people get this, but the majority of people suck at Google Posts.
I think that's a really interesting thing because of that. Like you said, it feels a bit weird to constantly be selling in that sort of things, especially
Yeah.
like you said, the way it's called posts does inherently lead you towards the social media side of things, right? Like you said,
Hmm.
that's the phrase we use for all the different platforms already. So why not do the same thing? And I really like the idea of, like you said, when you're they're in that discovery phase, the audience are coming in and don't know who you are, and you can have a super like time specific, time sensitive discount or whatever it is, or deal or all that kind of stuff. Like you can really sell it to them in that moment and convince them of like,
Yeah.
hey, if you come this weekend, it's 50% off everything or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Like there's those moments where you can really, again, kind of going back to the emoji thing of like capture the attention of people in that second when they're searching through, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's opposite because social media. The advice is do not be salesy. Like
Yeah.
every post, if you're trying to sell them something, people will be like, "I'm out of here. I'm not going to follow this guy." You're, like, and this is another thing. People will be like, "Oh, we published a new blog post," and then they make a Google post about their blog post, and it's like maybe like it's useful, like if it's in that convincing vein, where it's like if someone read that post, they might be convinced to hire you, but it's just not the best use of the space, and so yeah.
Yeah, I always, as a slight little tangent, I always find it funny when you choose the little anchor text for the link you can do, and it is always just the most generic anchor text in the world.
Yeah.
After spending years of don't write learn more, don't write read more, don't
Learn more.
do this
Yeah.
and stuff.
And
It's
then,
like, yeah, just pick learn more. I guess we don't know what else to put.
yeah, totally. Yeah. And those are actually the default options if you
Yeah,
add buttons to your Google. It's like book now, learn more. I don't know.
couple other
Buy. I
ones.
don't know if
Yeah,
they have a buy. Like a
I don't
direct
think
buy.
I think there is a buy now. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah,
If you sell online, the Google Post is a nice place. Now, let's all be honest. The Google Post section doesn't get a lot of visibility, doesn't get a lot of traction, but the traction that it does get, capitalize on that, right? So like this is why you just want to try and use it as a conversion tool.
yeah, I was having a conversation with a client who I'm helping doing some local stuff with. Funnily enough, literally sent them your video about video verification the other day.
Hmm.
Since their office has changed address and they lost their verification, I was like, aha, I know the person to send them towards. Like,
Yeah.
here's a video from Darren Shaw who will literally run you through the video verification process. And I was talking to
Literally
them about,
run. You have to run.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was talking to them about that, the Google Post side of things, and they're running some like training courses and stuff. And there is literally an option to add an event and a course and
Yeah.
stuff. But they were doing it as a post. And I was like, no. There's a whole other category that you should be sharing it specifically as an event. And
Mhm.
again, coming back around to the time sensitive stuff, right? Like, oh, you can
Yep.
see that this event is happening in the next week or the next 2 weeks, and it's the latest thing on the profile. I was like,
Great.
that's a perfect opportunity right there.
Love it. Yeah.
Sticking with other business profile stuff, photos and videos. We just mentioned video stuff there. I've definitely been following your example and adding more videos to business profile stuff as much as I can. And Mark and I were talking about it the other day. Like, yeah, let's try it. Let's give it a go. Why not? And what are your kind of thoughts on the full like kind of optimization of getting photos right, getting video right for your Google business profile?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about videos first. So
Let's do video.
videos are currently a competitive difference maker because a lot of businesses are not putting videos on their Google Business Profile. In fact, the vast majority of Google Business Profiles are the set and forget version. So they set
Yeah.
them up in 2015 when they opened their business and they haven't looked at it since. And so those businesses are doing it wrong. So there's so many opportunities for ongoing management, maintenance, and optimize. It's like you should not, if you launched your website in 2015 and you just left it, that's not going to be good. You got to keep adding new stuff and updating, right? And the same thing happens with your Google Business Profile. It's like it's almost like it's like your own website within local search, and there's lots of optimization. So videos are awesome because videos do two things. They draw people in the Maps, Google Maps mobile app. When you scroll the feed, if there's a video on the profile, it becomes the second image typically, and it auto plays. And so if you're just scrolling the feed of businesses and you see one that has this video, it just draws that attention, draws the clicks, and the clicks help the rankings. So, but another thing is like we're quite certain that Google is interpreting the content of the video directly. And so that is, you look at YouTube, they own YouTube, they know how to analyze video. And so all of that technology, I am speculating, is built into the Google Business Profile as well. And so we know that Google, so it's like, let's say you're showing things, and I've actually seen this come up before. So this is photos related, but we know Google's interpreting stuff. They don't mention the word, so here's a business profile. It doesn't mention the word dance floor on their website. It doesn't mention the word dance floor in any of their reviews. There's not like a category for dance floor, but this restaurant is ranking for dance floors in city. And the only place that is ever identified is photos in their photos gallery of people on the dance floor at their restaurant. And so it's really fascinating to see. And there's also this thing called Google Vision AI. So Google Vision AI is what Google uses to analyze your photos. And they have to have that because they have like a nanny bot, making sure you're not uploading, sketchy photos to your Google business profile. So they have this whole thing that analyzes the photos, make sure that they're safe. So like the safe search stuff, but also trying to interpret and understand the content of the photo itself. And you can see it in real time. You can take your photos, drag them into the Google Vision AI. There's like a try it now thing, and it'll tell you what Google thinks that photo is about. It's really cool. And so it'll really pull things out, and you could even optimize it. So you can have two photos that look almost the same, but with just a slight adjustment, like the guy moves his glasses, takes his glasses off. It's like the greatest example is this dentist. And it's like the first one, it was like mouth, teeth. Like that was the words that Google was picking up. And then the second one with just a slight change, it was like dentist. It's like then Google could identify that this was a photo of a dentist. So it's useful to run your photos through Vision AI and see what Google sees in them and then upload it to your profile. But it's also maybe an extra step you don't need, because what you should do is just upload every freaking photo to your Google Business profile on a regular schedule. So every week, like just try to drip feed photos into your profile. It's giving Google fresh content. It's showing engagement from the business owner. And those photos themselves can sell. And so another big thing that you can help both Google and humans understand photos better. And so let's say you are you're an accountant, people sitting around a table. That's a picture of people sitting around a table. You upload that to your Google business profile, and that's Google's Vision AI will say, this is a photo of people sitting around a table. It's like, how is that connecting to what you do? So now go into dang Photoshop, Canva, whatever, and put text overlay. The text overlay will be, leads accountant helping clients. It's like you're captioning all your photos, putting the text on the photos, and then uploading them. And then take a look at that in Vision AI. Google Vision AI will pick up that text. And so it's a great way. It's almost like, where else can I stuff keywords on my Google business profiles? It's like, in the photos.
In the photos.
Stuff your keywords in the photos. And so this is a really fun tip that a lot of people are sleeping on. Nobody knows about that. But then that also, when a person is browsing your gallery, it's making those mental connections as well. And, you're thinking more about convincing and converting. Great opportunity to use text for that on your photo and in your videos. So little text pop-ups and overlays, you can do you can even do that in Canva. You can make great videos in Canva. There's tons of easy, simple video editing tools. So photos, videos, hot topic. You should definitely be doing it, because most people are not doing. But a lot of people actually, they're pumping this. So this is opposite from the Google Posts. In the Google Posts, I'm saying, don't take your social stuff like your Instagram and put them on your Google Posts. But if you're creating videos and cool photos for Instagram, put those on your Google business profile in the photo gallery section. So I would advise that.
Yeah, as soon as you said sort of text and overlays and creating videos and stuff, my mind have jumped straight to YouTube and getting YouTube thumbnails. And I know exactly what you guys are doing at White Spark with having the text on the screen. We're trying to do that with the podcast as well. I'm always experimenting and doing thumbnail tests and all kinds of stuff. Like, does it prefer text here or text there, or what is going on, and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny to me, like you said, that's kind of the opposite of the post, where the social media stuff is now influencing so much video, and video feels like, especially with things like TikTok and all that kind of thing now, short form videos appearing on SERPs and stuff like that. Again, I think this is a thing that a lot of people would underestimate, that is super relevant for local search, that most people think of for general SEO, non-local SEO,
Yeah.
but actually it's super relevant for the local search side of things as well. It's not something anyone will think, like, oh yeah, we should make sure our videos are available locally with all the, for a better phrase, bells and, like you said, Canva design stuff, whatever you want to do. That's such a little thing that seems like I've seen that a million times everywhere else. It's like, it works on Google Business Profile as well.
Yeah. And a lot of people are making that content. They're making it for TikTok.
Mm.
They're doing YouTube Shorts. So if your business is already producing that content, you'd be like, whoops, totally forgot to upload this awesome stuff to my Google Business Profile. So set a recurring reminder and keep it going. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I know there is something I'm always talking about, and I literally was working with a client earlier today with their on-page FAQs and Q&A and stuff like that. And my general rule for content on a site for Q&As and FAQs, you mentioned Also Asked, obviously built by the development team here at Canada with Mark and the guys. It's always a general rule for me, like if somebody would have a question about your business, your product, your service, you should provide the answer.
Yeah.
Is that a similar kind of rule in local as well, in the Q&A
100%.
section for Business Profile?
And this is actually where your website does tie in quite well. So we talked earlier about the services page, and so the service. So if you're going to add a service to your Google Business Profile, look at your website. Do I have a server? Do I have a page for this? Build that page out and add all those questions there, like an FAQ section, right? Definitely use Also Asked. But then all of that even applies on the Google Business Profile itself. There's a Q&A section that we do not believe that keywords in that section directly impact rankings, but that section is really valuable to fill out for direct conversions because people have a question. They see that the answer is on your Google Business Profile. They're like, this business can do it. They pick up their phone, they call. So that's one area for sure. Definitely build out your FAQs, and we try to do that for our clients on a weekly basis. So we're always looking for new questions and answers. It can sometimes be like pulling teeth trying to get the answer from our clients. But we're always...
Was that a dentist pun, Darren? Be honest. Was that a dentist pun?
It doesn't matter the industry. It's really hard to pull on. But yeah, the dentists, they're the worst for trying to pull teeth. So, yeah. So what we'll do is we'll definitely see the Q&A section. Like we'll come up with the questions, and then we do an interview with the client. So it's easy to find the questions. You can use software like Also Asked. You can look at the keywords that are coming up in your search console. You can look at the keywords that are coming up in your Google Business Profile performance section, and then those become your seed keywords. You put into Also Asked. You generate all these questions. Then you have a call with your client and be like, "Okay, answer all these questions," and then you just hit record, transcribe it. And then you get all the answers for everything. And so the nice thing about that is that the answers are authentic. You're not chat GPTing this garbage, right? So you're like getting the actual words from your client. And a little coaching can be done too, where it's like, make sure you're hyping it. You're promoting it. This is why, promote yourself, be promotional, because that's what people are latching onto in the Q&A. So the Q&A section is really valuable for direct conversions. But there's another thing. All of those questions, they make excellent videos. So
there we go.
You can ask and answer a question in a Google Business Profile video. So, okay, whatever. Someone's looking at your Google Business Profile, they're clicking through. You got the founder of the company talking to you, building that affinity. Like you get to see the person behind the company because, it's been said 1,000 times, maybe a billion times, that people buy from people, they don't buy from companies. And so brands, they're until you become a massive brand like Nike or something. But basically, for especially in the local business world, showing yourself on film, unbelievable conversion. And so all those questions that have been generated make excellent videos.
Yeah, I love that. That's something I was trying to kind of latch onto, is that kind of authentic approach to content where you can literally see the person who's creating the content doing the thing in front of you. Oh, it is the guy from that business. It is the person who runs that business actually talking to me, like you said, on video, rather than did they chat GPT this? Is it just churned out? All that kind of stuff. And I know there's been a lot of, again, kind of chatter about whether you should be on your own Google Business Profile, should you be asking your own questions and
Oh, yeah.
answering your own questions as well, or whether they should come in naturally, or you have to get somebody like a third party, bring in an agency to do it for you. What's the kind of general rule for answering your own questions and asking your own questions as well, I guess?
I have seen businesses like try to get multiple people to go and ask the question so that then they can go answer them. You don't have to do that. Google actually encourages the business owners to ask and answer their own questions. They have a whole Q&A section is right in the main sort of dashboard for editing your profile. They have a Q&A section, and when you click it, it says ask a question. It's like they want you to populate this section. It actually helps them get more great data for their local knowledge graph, right? So they're really encouraging it. It's totally fine to ask and answer the question as the business owner.
Yeah, I think that's something, like I said, a lot of people misunderstand, but I think you're totally right. The more data you're giving Google, pretty much, the better.
Yep.
The more they can get for you, the happier they will be, because they
need
love
it. Train all their AIs. Yeah.
Exactly. What will Gemini do without us giving all of its data?
Yeah, totally.
And let's talk about title tags, shall we? Talk about keyword stuffing. I know you mentioned some keyword stuffing earlier.
Yeah.
Trying some stuffing in some menu items. How are we feeling about these very long title things where you're kind of sticking in a bunch of different things in your title all at once?
This is this is a controversial topic, and most people, like a lot of people, when I suggest this thing, they're all like, "You are nuts. You are the worst SEO I've ever seen on the internet. I can't believe you're suggesting this." And so what I like to call it the fallacy of the long title tag. So if you look at Yoast, if you look at SEMrush, you look at anything, all the crawlers will tell you your title tag is too long. It's supposed to be under 70 characters, right? But we have Google on record, John Mueller, other people are saying Google does not care how long your title tag is. That was made up by the SEO industry. And it's true. You can make your title tag as long as you want. A lot of people then are thinking, oh, wow, but that's stupid because it doesn't look good. You don't want a keyword stuff title tag. You want to encourage the click. You want your titles to be compelling. Agreed. The reality is, though, that Google often rewrites your title tag. And so even though you've crafted this beauty of a title tag that's all compelling and it's going to get the clicks, then Google will regularly rewrite it anyways. And so, so my strategy is, yes, within that first 70 characters, do write the compelling one. Write a good title tag that will compel a person to click it. It's hitting the keywords, but it's also got some like copywriting in it to like draw people in. But you got this magical space after the ... So it's like compelling title tag ... And that's the keyword stuff zone. So no one's ever going to see it. Google does interpret it. They're not using the rewritten version. They're actually using the version in your HTML for rankings. And in the ... keyword stuff zone, that's where you can go to town. And so most people are like, Darren, you're nuts. But swear to God, I've seen it work multiple times. I have a great case study from Joel Headley, who did this at scale for hundreds of medical practitioners after stuffing what he calls localities. So these are all like the local neighborhood names. So your business is here, and if you go to Google Maps, you can see all these little place names, right, that are around. They're usually like little neighborhoods, right? So he just programmatically stuffed, I think he had 5 surrounding place names from the actual physical address into the homepage title tag, and he saw a 16% lift in rankings across the board. And so it's cool, right? It's like good to know that Google does use the stuff that's after the ... And it's also good to know that the stuff after the ... will never be seen by humans. So that's my go to town keyword stuff zone. And so I love to use it. And most people are like, nope, SEMrush told me my title tag has to be less than 70 characters. And I'm here to challenge that.
I do think, like you said, people rely too much on the golden word of whatever tool you're using. It's like, oh, no, it told me to cut off at this point. Meta description can't be this long. Title can't be this long, all that kind of stuff. I really find that interesting where you can kind of get away with a little bit of wiggle room. Like you said, when it's using the original stuff in the HTML rather than the little truncated ... I think a lot of people, again, underestimate that, don't fully kind of get the full benefit of it. And obviously keyword stuffing in so many other places is so frowned upon. People
Yeah.
are like so hesitant on the trigger to like to do anything like that.
And will I
just
get
in case.
penalized? Is Google gonna
Yeah.
give me a manual penalty? No. Heck no. Don't worry.
If you stuff a few extra neighborhoods in there, I can't imagine Google is too worried about it in terms of penalizations. They got a lot bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that pretty much wraps us up for the local search rankings. Kind of, I guess, mid-year update. We're in October.
Yeah.
By the
Some
time
of
this comes
the
out,
things that aren't in the 2023 version are lots of the things that we highlighted and talked about today. So I think mission accomplished.
Exactly. Unofficial update. I'll put that in. I'll stuff that keyword at the end somewhere. Let me find it.
Yeah, just after the ...
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Darren. Like I said, it's been a genuine pleasure to finally sit down with you, have a conversation. How can people follow you and the awesome work you're doing with Whitespark, the awesome work you're doing with the local search ranking factors, all that good stuff? Where's the best place to find you?
Definitely, you can check our website out, whitespark.ca. We have software and services to help with local SEO. You can find me on most of the social networks. I'm no longer on Twitter, but I'm on everything else. So you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Threads. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram. I'm like firing up Facebook these days, YouTube. So I'm trying to be in your face all the time on all the social networks.
Nice. That's the way to be. Be. And I think once again in a long list of people saying I'm not on Twitter anymore. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Pretty much every guest has been like, I don't really use Twitter anymore. And I think that's definitely a shift for us in SEO because SEO Twitter was such a thing for so long.
Such a thing. I know.
Yeah.
I know. Well, it's a different place these days. I am enjoying Threads quite a bit, actually. Threads feels like early Twitter. Like I've been on Twitter since 2007, I think. But this sort of like community and like it's just there's a lot less. I don't know. It just feels great. It's a friendly place. It's a lot of like community, people helping, people just chatting, right? So it feels good over there.
There's less anger, less politics, less ads. Just kind of, I think that's the entire description of Twitter in 2024 at this point.
It is amazing. Like I went back to Twitter and I was like, wow, the ads. Wow, the politics.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, Threads is like this calm, nice place. Yeah.
Well, folks, like I said, I'm already a huge fan of Darren, so please do go and follow all of his content.
Check
out. I will link everything in the show notes, all the studies we've talked about, all the various pages to go and follow, and all that good stuff. So please do go and check them out in the video description down below, in the comments, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much again, Darren. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a delight. Appreciate it.
And that wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And a huge thank you to Darren for joining me. Like I said, I was a huge fan of his work even before he came on the show. I've been following Darren for a very long time. So it was really, really fantastic to actually have a proper conversation and pick his brain and be able to ask him the questions I've always wanted to ask and all that kind of stuff. I hope you enjoyed my enthusiasm for it as well. And like I said, I think Darren was a fantastic guest. I've got some more awesome guests coming up in the next few weeks. We're still planning to do the Halloween episode, the return of the Scream Queens. That is Miriam Jessier and Stephanie Walter coming back on the show, reuniting after last year's Halloween episode and the previous year's Halloween episode as well. And I've got conversations with people like Noah Lerner and Marco Giordano coming up over the next few weeks as well. And as soon as Mark is not talking at various different conferences around the world. I know he was just at Search and stuff. He's now off to SERPconf very soon as well. He's been all over the world talking about SEO and doing talks and things like that. As soon as he's not busy, I will try and get him back in the studio so he and I can catch up and talk a lot about the latest and interesting SEO news that's happened over the last few weeks or so. So, like I said, stay tuned for all of that. Some amazing guests, Noah Lerner, Marco Giordano, and plenty more coming up throughout the rest of the year. And hopefully, Mark and I will be back in the studio very soon when I can wrangle him back to the UK and back to the Canada studio. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching or listening once again. Please do like, subscribe, give us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, leave a review. That hugely, hugely helps. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment. If you have ideas for people who you want to see on the show, if you have an idea for guests you'd like to see, tag them in the comments down below. I am always looking for new guests, new conversations, and new ideas and topics. So please do let me know. Leave them in the comments down below. You can even comment on Spotify now. So leave it in the comments on Spotify as well, which is I think our main platform in terms of listenership and viewership and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I have rambled on plenty long enough for this outro. So thank you again, and I will see you next week. Have a lovely week.